Welcome to Live Life Better. I am Scott Eastwood, and this is my podcast. I can talk about what I want. That's right, I can talk about what I want. And in this episode, we talk about a lot of cool stuff. But for those people who don't know my podcast yet, this podcast is for you people. It is to help you enrich your lives. I feel incredibly blessed in the life I have lived thus far, and I just want to help you out. So that's why I call it Live Life Better. And we are going to be interviewing a ton of different people this season, every walk of life, right? Health and fitness, professionals, entertainers, scientists, explorers, and much more, in hopes to inspire you, in hopes to get you off your ass and get you doing something with your life that is cool, that is interesting, that you want to do. Look, we only have a short time on this planet, and then it's over. And that's what it's about, you know? Like, don't get caught up in chasing the money or chasing something you don't want to do. Do what you love. Find something you love and chase it. It'll make you feel better about your life. I promise you. Anyways, on this episode, we talked to an incredible young woman, Jessie Golden. Now, Jessie Golden, for those who don't know, was diagnosed at 29 with rheumatoid arthritis, a terrible, terrible disease. And this episode is about how she has overcome that. We talk a lot about diet and exercise and what she has done to completely transform her body and deal with this terrible disease. We talk about yoga. We talk about surfing. We talk about Burning Man. Wow. Yeah, we talk about a lot of cool stuff in this episode. So check it out, and I hope you enjoy. Let's do it.
We're doing it.
We live?
We're on, man.
We live? Jessie Golden in the house.
Yay.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hear you brought us goodies.
I did. I always come bearing gifts.
Well, that's a first, because our other guests have not brought gifts.
Oh, no. Maybe I'll set the precedent.
Yes, I like that.
Okay, good. So, of course, I brought you my book, which I'm super excited about. But I also brought you...
It's a very nice cover. I like the texture.
Thank you. Some golden secrets.
So her book, people, for you don't know, Jessie Golden, is called The Golden Secrets to Optimal Health.
Yes.
Golden Secrets to Optimal Health. I like it. So when did you publish this?
I actually just published it. Gosh, I should know the exact date, but I'm horrible with dates and times. I would say about 6 months ago. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Your first book?
Thank you. Yes. First book, and I actually wrote it.
You actually wrote it?
I actually wrote it. I mean, there was no ghostwriter.
Yeah, that's different in Hollywood.
How long did that take you?
It took me, you know what? It took me 2 years, but I didn't get to like go up in a mountain and like write, full time for 2 years. I'm a single mom, and I have my own company, so every free time that I had in the past 2 years was spent writing. It was intense. Like, writing a book is like giving
hard,
birth.
Huh?
I don't
know what that's like.
I've never
it's
done
like
either.
birthing something, it's I couldn't sleep. I was like getting up in the middle of the night. Oh shit, I gotta write this
say
down.
whatever the fuck
Fire
you
away,
want.
Oh,
girl.
good, yay. So it was a big sense of reward when I finally finished it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, okay, so for people who don't know who you are and what you are, Tim actually, I didn't know who you were until Tim said, hey, you gotta check this girl out on Instagram. She's got this great Instagram. She's wrote a book, and she's got a great product line. You are a total health nut, it seems, from your Instagram. You practice yoga all the time. You teach yoga.
Yes, I'm a yoga teacher.
And you were diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis a few years ago?
Yes, it's been about 9 years now.
9 years ago, wow.
Yeah, which it's flown by.
So I know a little bit about arthritis. My mom has osteoarthritis, which I would love to hear from you. That's sort of like athletic arthritis, right? I mean, people who have maybe gone through an injury or athletes, is osteoarthritis.
Yes.
But rheumatoid arthritis is much more severe.
Yeah,
correct?
It's funny. It's actually a lot of people with RA is the short term for it. Get upset with the name because people associate it with osteoarthritis.
Got it.
It's actually an autoimmune disease, more in the category of like lupus or MS, Hashimoto's, Graves' disease, all these unfortunate autoimmune diseases that are popping up. But it obviously affects your joints like osteoarthritis, but it can also affect your organs, other areas of your body. When I was at my worst, I had inflammation of every synovial joint, which is any joint in your body that hinges, which means I was basically like the Tin Man. I didn't walk for a year.
Wow.
And every organ in my body was inflamed, in my eyes, my teeth, my lungs, my heart. So I was sick. I was really, 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 really sick at my worst. And that's kind of what inspired me to, now I'm a holistic health practitioner as well, but also to share my story because I was a ballerina before I got sick.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was also a vegetarian at the age of 13 or 11, which was very unusual. So I considered myself to be a healthy person. So when I got sick, it was really weird. It was, prior to that, I was bulletproof. I didn't think anything could stop me.
And circa what age was this when you started to feel symptoms or?
I started feeling sick at 29, but I was a new mom. My son was about 3, and I was a single mother. So I always had an excuse for why I kind of felt bad, and I think being a ballerina, you're trained to ignore every symptom that you feel.
Yeah.
As any athlete, I think a lot of athletes can.
Yeah, you play hurt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You fight through it.
Yeah.
If you feel it bad, just push through it. In fact, maybe push even a little harder and you'll get over it. So I kind of had that mentality and I kept pushing through. And, to the point where my body was
So what does that look like? What you're pushing through and you're inflamed all the time, sore.
You get almost like flu-like symptoms. A lot of people before they get diagnosed, they feel like they constantly have the flu. You always have a low-grade fever because it's an infection of the body. The visual sign was I was dropping weight like crazy.
Really?
And my knuckles were swollen as if I had punched a wall, like very unusual, like almost black and blue. And I went misdiagnosed forever because I would go from doctor to doctor and they would look at me and they would say, you're fine. They would do a blood test. You're fine. You have to specifically test for the RA factor for rheumatoid arthritis. And coincidentally, thank goodness, I met this doctor whose mother had RA and she saw my hands and she said, you know what, I'm going to send you to a rheumatologist. And I was like, a what? What's a rheumatologist? I had never even heard of it. And that's when I got diagnosed. So
you get diagnosed, you're age 30?
29.
29? Mm-hmm. What does a doctor tell you when you're diagnosed? Is they say, okay, you have rheumatoid arthritis. This is going to be something you're just going to live with. What do they sort of say?
Yes. So there's no cure. They don't really know what causes it. And they treat it very aggressively because they have this theory that if they catch it or nip it in the bud, you have a more likely chance for it to go into remission. Uh-huh. So they started me with methotrexate, which is chemotherapy.
Really?
Yes. And that's protocol.
Okay.
For most people. And, I was scared and I was vulnerable. So the way that I empowered myself was always through diet and trying to be mindful of what I could do. But at the same time, I trusted my doctor. And so I did everything she said. And
full chemo, or is it a microdose?
It's like pills. So It's like, I don't remember at the time, but it was like a lot of pills each day, or I forgot what the protocol was, but prior to that, I was one of those people that never took Tylenol. I had my son, I gave birth at home naturally. I mean, I never took drugs in my life except to, smoke pot or something when I was in high school. Sure. But, so this was very abnormal for me. And I wasn't surprised I started having all the negative side effects to the point where I was like, what is the disease and what is the side effects of, the medication? I was my hair was falling out. I was dropping even more weight. I mean, I'm 5'10". I'm 125 now. I was 90 pounds at my worst. Yeah, I was 90 pounds. And I was like the Tin Man. I literally could not bend, any synovial joint. So like my arms, just to get my arm to my jaw in the morning to brush my teeth. And then it was another issue to open my mouth because I would almost get lockjaw. The mornings are the worst because you're not moving all throughout the night. And which is what somebody like your mother, somebody with osteoarthritis, it's really common because the only way to stay fluid is through movement. That's how you create this synovial fluid. And so when you're sleeping all night, you're not moving. That's why you wake up stiff. So that's why I talk about in my book is about moving and all these types of things. I always say moving hurts, but not moving hurts a lot more. And when you're in that much pain, the last thing you want to do is move. But well,
it's like the old saying, the body in motion stays in motion, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I find a lot of people become, they get ill or they get diagnosed with something, and then they become a victim to that illness.
Yes.
And it's one of my biggest pet peeves because you see people like yourself who now you seem great, right? You're all over Instagram doing yoga. You're a huge yogi. I'm also a big yoga head.
Oh, yay.
And you see people who do combat whatever they get, and then you see people who just become victim and become, they just start to slide down and down and down and further. So what is that like? You now you're taking chemo, then what happens? You're like, fuck this. Yeah, I'm done with this chemo.
Basically.
Right?
Yeah, I kind of knew that that's what I was going to do. I was going to give it a shot just so I could say I told you so.
And what's a shot? How long is the process?
I think I gave Western medicine, I don't know. It's been so long, at least 2 months, but to the point where I can kind of be like, to my mom and my friends and even my doctor, see,
yeah,
see, I knew it, and the pendulum swung the other way and I went totally Eastern and I stopped all medication. I hired, this woman by the name of Mina Dobik, and she's one of the most famous macrobiotic counselors. She's worked with like Gwyneth Paltrow.
What is a macrobiotic counselor?
Macrobiotic. It's mostly a diet, but it's a whole lifestyle. She was diagnosed with like stage 5 cancer, given 2 months to live. That was 25 years ago. And she wrote a book about being macrobiotic, which is, I think his name was Michio Kushi, was the one who kind of came up with the whole concept, and that's who she studied under. It's very grains and lots of sea vegetables. It's a super clean diet. And then there's lots of body scrubs. Your entire life is revolved around what you're eating, what remedies, your tonics, and all kinds of things. I was introduced to foods that I had never even heard of, like daikon root and lotus, and there was what else was there? Agar, which is like a seaweed type of thing that makes jello.
A lot of microalgae stuff.
Yes, yeah. Which, there's a lot of studies about the sea obviously being super healing.
I take I do bioastin, which is a microalgae.
Yeah.
It's farmed in Hawaii.
Oh, cool.
And I take it, and it really, I find it for overall skin health, it makes me much more, when I'm in the sun, when I'm exposed to the sun, I have it's almost like a natural sunscreen that it's, I'm not saying you should replace sunscreen, but I really find that it really helps my skin.
I think there's so many things about the sea that are so healing. I think
definitely.
Yes.
Life source.
Yes, absolutely. So I had her, and I did this. They have the whole concept in macrobiotics. It takes 90 days for your body to go from acid to alkaline. Mm-hmm. So it's a totally alkaline diet. I was so sick at the time I had to hire a chef 7 days a week because I couldn't actually cut the vegetables and create these meals because my hands weren't working.
Really?
Yeah. So I literally spent my life savings trying to heal myself, and I had to do that because rheumatoid arthritis is a chronic disease, and it's something that I will live with for the rest of my life. So just for me, I had to try everything under the sun. And at the time, right before that, I was getting my yoga certification. So I met a lot of people in the yogi spiritual realm that had a guy. Everybody had a guy. I got
Sure.
this guy from Mexico. He's
like a
got
drug
this
dealer. I like
clay, this healing clay. I had healing clay from Mexico. I had a blind shiatsu guy. I mean, you name it, I was willing to try everything and anything. And everything that I've learned throughout this whole experience, which is, you talk about being the victim, I still, to this day, say that rheumatoid arthritis has been a blessing to me, because it inspired me to become a holistic health practitioner. And it really opened up the door for me to be more relatable to people and give people inspiration. What I have to go through, what I'm going through on a daily basis with RA is so minute compared to what other people have to go through. But I love being able to share my story and say, you know what? I feel like shit sometimes in the morning, and this is what I do. This is how I get through it. I choose to thrive despite it. And that's it.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you're out there doing that and spreading that positivity, because people breed off that stuff. They really, I find that the more you can put out there, the more people will say, you know what, I want to do it like that person.
I agree.
Yeah. Sorry,
Scott, what is your general morning routine? Or do you have to buy the book to find something?
That's funny. Well, I get up at the same time almost every day because I have a son, so I get him up for school. But I do talk about how schedule is really important, and getting up and going to bed at the same time. I think there's something to say about that. And I also believe in intermittent fasting, so I usually don't eat my first meal till about lunchtime. So I have coffee. I am a coffee drinker. I usually have coffee and water, and then around noon I'll have breakfast because I love breakfast. But I mean, each day is a little bit different right now because, I'm working on my company. I'm not really teaching or anything. So I have my own practice that I do at home. I'm physically active every day, even if it's just a walk or a stretch. I do listen to my body, but other days, like I'll do Pilates and hike a mountain,
So relative to how you cope with RA, is it primarily just diet and exercise every day, coupled with mindset? And
mindset is huge.
Right.
With just like Scott was saying, like you can choose to be a victim when you get diagnosed with something. Like I made a decision when I got diagnosed. Of course, I cried. I went home and I was like, oh my God, my life's over. But then once you get over that, I was like, no, I am not accepting this dis-ease into my body. End of story. And every time that something does come up where I have mornings where I don't feel good, I try and use that opportunity to learn something from it. All right, Jessie, what are you doing wrong? What did you do to push yourself? Why do you feel like this? I think and I talk about this in my book, every ailment or every part of the body symbolizes something that's going on in your life. Whether it's the right side or the left side or your elbow or your knee, there's something connected to everything.
It's all information. It's speaking to you somehow. Are you listening or avoiding, right?
And I didn't listen for so long. So then eventually it was like, guess what? I'm going to make you bedridden. So you have no choice but to listen. And really, I'm so stubborn. That's my personality. That's the only way I would have listened.
So who told you, who pushed intermittent fasting on you? Was that an Eastern thing? Was that something you had done before, or that you just that you found that your body functioned better? I do a similar sort of process. So
cool.
I always wonder where people pick that up.
You know what? My brother planted the seed. My brother's getting his doctorate right now, and he's always been into health and fitness. I mean, he is like a walking encyclopedia. And years ago, he had talked about it with weightlifting and incorporating intermittent fasting. And then I had kind of forgotten about it. And naturally, I noticed that my body was gravitating towards that. And I don't know if it's just because I was so busy that I wouldn't get around to eating until noon. And then I thought, gosh, I feel better. I normally feel better when I eat 2 meals a day and my body isn't having to work all day to digest that food. I just feel better.
Yep.
with
lean and mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's and there's a lot of studies now. There's a lot more empirical evidence that's coming out now. It's talking about just less of everything. right?
Yes.
Maybe not water, but less of everything, and letting your body, the way we were supposed to eat, right? Is we ate during the day, and then we stopped eating at night because you'd go to sleep. But because of artificial light, now everything is thrown off, right? Dinner can be, at 10 o'clock at night, if you go out. So it's interesting to start to talk about those rhythms. I think is a really important, as people are so conditioned just to go, oh, well, I'm going to eat breakfast now. It's 8 o'clock in the morning,
or I have to eat breakfast. Yeah.
And I find a lot of people's argument to that is, well, I'm hungry in the morning. Well, if you give your body time to adjust to that schedule, it adjusts. If you give yourself a week or 2 weeks, your body will adjust to that, and we'll just get used to eating at 11 or 12 o'clock whenever you end up eating.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's so funny when I tell people, you should try this. Like, I'm starving in the morning. Like, you're not going to die. It's okay.
Yeah,
Just have some water or something.
I know.
It's so silly.
It seems like so many health discoveries are just things that we did 10,000 years ago before agriculture.
Yes.
Just go back to the basics. This is what our body was built for, and then now, to Scott's point, there's lights and there's food at all times. You're never going hungry, thankfully, at least in our experience. And a lot of times, just really taking it back to that, and all these pills and all of this, everything, it's just go back to who you are.
Well, I think what's the hard thing for some people is that healthy options aren't made easily available, right? So people's habits reflect their unhealthy life, right?
Right.
McDonald's is easier than to go to Whole Foods and have to pick something out and walk in, and it's just easier. So people are their bad habits are because of laziness, and it sucks because that's what our culture sort of pushes. But I think for someone like you who has a kid and has a busy schedule, right? How do you go about doing the right things healthy? Like, how do you find time in your day?
Well, I don't have a choice. And that is one of the other blessings I call it a blessing, about having rheumatoid arthritis, is I feel things instantly.
Really? So what do you mean?
So, I mean, I've found more of a balance because it's been 9 years now that I'm living with it, and I'm feeling really, really good. I'm feeling amazing. But if I go out and, like during Halloween, and I eat a bunch of horrible food, I'm going to feel it a little bit the next day.
Sure.
And it also, like Tim said, it has something to do with my mindset too. If I'm super happy and everything's going great and I'm positive, I won't feel it as much. But I have to be a little bit more strict with my diet because I feel it instantly. I'm like a antenna, I feel it right away.
Sure.
So it keeps me in line.
So for instance, what will you eat in the morning? What is, you wait till 12 to eat?
Yeah, I usually make this like amazing bowl of oatmeal with all kinds of superfoods and nuts, and the other thing that I'm on right now is Mana bread. It's like crack.
Okay. Mana bread.
So
what is
good.
Mana bread? Tell
It's just it's a
Mana
type
bread is.
of bread. You could get it at Whole Foods or Erewhon if you're local in LA. I think it's MANA, and it's really heavy. And it's got all kinds of nuts and yumminess.
It's made with more nut butters.
Yeah,
right?
and it's like,
No
but it's
grain.
like good, and it's heavy. It feels like something your great grandmother would make. It's real bread. It's like a couple pounds, literally. It's like heavy, and kale. I'll do some kind of vegetable in the morning. I just recently, I talk about this in my book too. I was vegetarian at 11 till about 25, and then I started eating meat again, and then I was vegan when I was trying to heal myself, and then I just did whatever I wanted again. And right now I'm what I say 90% vegan. So every once in a while I'll have eggs if I feel like I'm craving it, but I haven't had any meat for almost a year again. And I don't talk about it so much, on social media, or I don't push it in my book. I'm very careful. I grew up in Chicago where everybody was conservative. And when I became a vegetarian when I was 11, I joined PETA and I was an activist, and I was constantly arguing with everybody about trying to get them to go on the bandwagon.
Sure.
And I see even more now that bandwagon, it's like, I literally saw a girl on Instagram that had vegan tattooed on her stomach. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm more about, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And, basically showing people rather than preaching. So if people ask me, what do you do? How do you stay healthy? Well, I'm 90% vegan. I really don't,
So what's the reasoning for vegan versus being a carnivore?
So for me, now let me just say this. My son is the biggest meat eater.
Nice.
Which is hilarious because I'm this yogi, vegan, and he's like a hunter. I'm not kidding. And he loves meat. So I find there's no coincidence that he's my hardest client and student.
Sure, yeah.
But for me, I made that connection when I was 11 years old between eating an animal, and it just stuck with me.
What you having sympathy for the animal?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way that it was, I don't know. I made that connection, and I think a lot of, it's happening more now. My son actually, he just changed schools, but prior to that, he was going to a school where it was farm to table. And you think about this, these kids, a lot of people don't even realize, they see the chicken in the freezers, and they don't realize that that's a chicken at the farm. There's no connection. And at 11 years old, I don't remember how I made that connection, but I made the connection between this cow is my burger. And I really thought about it, which a lot of people try to avoid because otherwise they won't be able to eat it. But I really let it absorb, and I thought, I don't want to do this. It just didn't feel right for me.
So it wasn't more of a health thing.
No, it had nothing to do with health at 11.
It was a compassion for animal.
Yes.
Interesting.
Compassion for animals. Yes.
I'm a meat eater.
Yes.
Have you ever been hunting? Have you ever hunted or fished before?
So I come from a family of fishermen. And like I said, my son, he shoots bow and arrow.
Nice.
And he's a crazy fisherman.
Great.
Like insane. So it's not that I'm against it. It just doesn't work for me.
Do you not eat fish?
I do every once in a while. Yeah.
So
especially if he catches it. Like if we're in Florida and he catches dinner, and my mom, like, of course,
Sure. I'm a big fisherman and hunter. It's interesting because it seems that people have less of a connection with fish. People who veer towards vegan have less of a connection with fish, and they're able to wrap their brains around that. Whereas, eating a deer or eating red meat or chicken sometimes is a harder connection. And I wonder if a lot of it has to do with Disney movies, with movies that have turned animals into these characters, right? Where we see at a young age, oh, these animals talk to us and they're nice and they are charming or whatever they're, may be. Outside of Finding Nemo, I can't think of many fish movies that sort of create life within these animals. And I always wonder what that is.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't know. But I do, when you ask me about hunting, I think my son got introduced to hunting through his godfather. And his godfather is from Kentucky, and he kills one deer with a bow and arrow every year, and he has the meat for his family.
Yep.
And he's like, you want to talk about organic? He's like, this is organic. And I was like, okay, this is, I was eating meat at the time, and he said, I want to take Kaleo, hunting, and I think they got birds at first. And they're sending me pictures of like blood on their face. And,
you're just mortified.
There's like a deer hanging in the background. I'm like, my vegan community is gonna,
so
I'm like, oh my God,
in me.
yeah. But you know what? There's something to say about that. And I was like, I at least want my son to experience this, because if he is going to eat meat, then go out there and kill it yourself. And they do all kinds of ceremony and prayer. And I mean, really, in the most respectful way you possibly could. Learn how to skin it and do all that.
Yep.
If you're going to do it and learn. And then, at the same time, I'm, showing him documentaries about overfishing and, so he's educated. He understands. He doesn't eat tuna. Like there's certain things he doesn't do, which is really, really cool. But I'm just trying to share with him as much wisdom as I can, but that's the direction he's gearing. So of course, as his mother,
Do you ever feel? I know I talk to a lot of vegans who are iron deficient because they don't eat red meat, and I know a lot of vegans try to supplement that with iron pills, and they have a tough time with it. Does that ever come into play in your diet?
When I was younger, I was actually anemic, and I used to take a supplement, and then again when I was pregnant, but I was eating meat at that time. I think just knowing, there's a lot of controversy too with iron and protein and where you can actually get it, and you can actually get everything from plants. It's just we don't eat a variety of enough things, and we don't eat in season. God or the universe or whatever you believe, the plants are planted during certain times of the year, and those are the foods that you're supposed to eat because that's where you get the most nutrients during that time of the year. That's what you need. So we just don't eat enough in variety. People eat the same thing every day. They'll eat the salad every day, or they'll eat the broccoli every day, and they think they're getting it. You have to really rotate and get a variety of colors and seasons, and to ensure that you're getting all the vitamins and nutrients that you need. And that's the hardest part too for me. Like when you're intermittent fasting, you don't eat as much, so you have to find superfoods and I don't like protein powder, but some kind of powders that you can add to your oatmeals and drinks and stuff to ensure that you're getting a variety of
powders
stuff.
But also you have to be very careful about those powders because a lot of it out there is bullshit.
Yeah.
Because the FDA does not monitor the majority of these things they're not FDA approved.
Yes.
You can start a company, which I know you have a supplement company, right?
Well, it's not supplement. I actually have one product that is more in that realm, which is Lotus pollen, and not many people talk about it. It's in the same realm of like bee pollen or pine pollen.
Sure.
But I actually collaborated with a company called Elemental Wisdom, and being in this industry and, just like you, a lot of it is bullshit. I used to literally live at Erewhon 15 years ago and sit at the bar, and I knew all the goofy people and all the people that were just coming up with stuff, and I would drink reishi mushroom all day, all that stuff. And now it's like everybody's doing it. And a lot of it is bullshit, and I feel like I've been a guinea pig for a lot of it. But this company, this guy, I'm just in love with everything that he does. And he came to me, and I try a lot of his products. And this was something that just lit me up. And I said, this is so cool. A lot of people don't talk about it. It's an adaptogen for stress and energy.
Explain what that does, because I don't even know.
Adaptogen, anything in the realm of adaptogen means it basically gives you what you need. So if you need to come up or you need to come down, it figures out what you need. That's what's so amazing about adaptogens. And the lotus pollen is the coolest thing, just energetically. It like rises from the mud every morning, and it's totally clean. And
really?
So the whole spirituality behind a lotus flower.
You pull that up. Pull up a lotus flower, Tim. So lotus flower, it protects the pollen, and then once it comes out of the mud, then it opens up, and
it's totally clean and beautiful.
Interesting.
So it rises from this, muck and comes up. And the lotus pollen, I should have brought you guys some. It looks like bee pollen. It's bright gold or yellow, and I take about a half a teaspoon a day, and it's just one of those things that's in my toolkit.
Great.
That I wanted to share. Everything, my whole company are products and things that I've been using or that I love and that I just wanted to share with everybody.
That's great.
So it's super organic and authentic.
That is a pretty flower.
Isn't that cool?
That is a pretty flower.
I talk about it when you buy my product online. I actually send you a free ebook with all the information about the lotus pollen and then different ways you can incorporate it into your diet.
That's probably one that's a little harder to fake if it's not real, because you can actually see it's pollen, right?
Well, and it's just organic pollen. There's nothing else in it.
Yeah.
It's
like you go to a lot of these factories, and my dad was always a big advocate of this because he was never a huge supplement guy. He was very careful with what he took because he would go to these factories. He had visited a few of them, and he was part of a supplement company. He was an owner in one, and he knew all the filler and all the crap they were putting in there, and the small trace amount of whatever, even if they did.
Crazy?
So he would always say, you believe half what you see and none of what you hear, because some of it is bullshit. The only thing I actually really take is I take fish oil, but I take like a good Nutri-C from Whole Foods that has an expiration date on it, because I do believe in omega-3s for heart health and probably, I don't know if you do.
Yeah, I talk about that a little bit
right?
in my book. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. So I take that, and I take that bioacid that I was talking about. Outside of that, I don't really do too much more outside of just eating really healthy, trying to eat really, pure vegetables, clean salmon, clean protein, whatever I'm eating, even if it's red meat, and like a good clean carb, like a sweet potato.
Yeah.
So from the ground, right?
Yeah.
Keep it simple. What about you, Tim? What are you doing these days?
What am I doing these days? Geez, I don't know.
You just mixing it up? McDonald's and
mindfulness. Oh, diet-wise? I bounce all over the place. I mean, I used to be a meat eater my entire life, and just recently, I think it was probably Cowspiracy was one of the initial motivators.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it really kind of ties the environmental impact together with
that's a whole
the
nother
processing
side,
of food and everything else, and the growing and this and that, and how much water and how much grain it takes to produce a pound of beef, for example.
Oh yeah. So that's the big thing, right? It's not a hunter going out and killing a deer with a bow, which I've done, and taking that meat home and getting it jerkied and using the back straps for steaks, or going out and fishing and getting a couple fish. Right. And then taking that home and feeding your family. It's the mass production of it, which is bad for the environment, bad for, decimating the species when there's not enough regulation. That's the problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So that really got me inspired to try some different things. So then I just started experimenting. I was like, let me try vegetarian this week and see how I feel. Do I feel strong? Do I feel tired? I felt pretty good, actually. I think I was nutrient deficient in many instances, and it brought that to light that I need to eat more vegetables and be more conscious about that kind of stuff. And then I'll go back and try some meat again and see how I feel. And that's basically what I've been doing probably for the last, 6 months, a year.
Interesting.
And from there, I just started doing some more research about animals themselves and how smart pigs are, for example. And then I was like, damn, a pig is smarter than my dog. I wouldn't eat my dog. Like, fuck,
It makes you think.
Yeah. So I've been trying to stay away from pork right now, and I've been trying to think in my mind of a burger as cow. Like, just what is that? Why do we call this chicken and we call this beef instead of cow?
I'll tell you what, though, some of the fake meat is getting so good that I'm questioning sometimes. Where was I at? I was at some restaurant, Crossroads, and I kept I literally looked at the menu 3 times while I was eating. I forgot what I was eating. It was like chicken parmesan, but it wasn't chicken parmesan. But it felt like chicken parmesan, and it tasted like chicken parmesan. I kept looking at the menu, and I'm like, no, this is a vegan restaurant. This has to be, what I mean? It's unbelievable. And now they have those meatless burgers.
What was it made out of?
It must have been soy, which is, controversial in its own right, or some kind of wheat, gluten thing, which, that's the other side of it.
So you're not completely strict. So sometimes you'll cheat, right?
No, and that's the thing. And I think that I talk a lot about this in my book. Like I hate labels and, like diets and all of these kind of limits.
Sure.
I just live a healthy life. You know, I don't bring bad food into my house unless my son he'll bring me candy sometimes. Like,
Good boy,
stop
good boy.
bringing this in. But I try not to bring bad food into my house. If I go to someone's house for dinner, I'm not going to be annoying and be like, is there meat in there? And like, do you have anything without eggs in there?
There's nothing worse than that person.
Oh God. So I'm like, that's what I mean. I don't want to be annoying. So I enjoy my life. You know, if I go out, if I'm on vacation, I was just in Bali. I ate like a bunch of things I didn't normally eat. I was just in Mexico and I was on vacation. So I don't
Do you drink
limit
alcohol?
myself. I do drink alcohol. I drink
In moderation.
In moderation, of course. Yeah.
Yep.
Red wine, and I drank some tequila in Mexico. Oh my God.
Story time with Jessie Golden.
No,
what happened
seriously,
on tequila in Mexico?
So I love a margarita. I'll do margarita and guacamole for like 5 hours. I could sit there and just eat that. It's my favorite. And when we were in Mexico, everybody, there was tequila. We were at a wedding, and I ended up drinking straight tequila because they ran out of everything. I felt like I was tripping on acid. Like,
really?
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Tequila's nuts.
Have you tripped on acid before?
I have, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have when I was younger. I did a lot of experimenting when I was young.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Did you learn anything from that experience, or what drove you to that? Did you experience any spiritual development, or what was your motivation? Was it just a kid playing around with drugs?
It was just a kid. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast, honestly, because as a yogi, I believe that enlightenment comes in form of practice and ritual and meditation, and we call it samadhi.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people try to reach that through drugs, and
Sure.
now there's this whole ayahuasca and doing all this. I think it's all bullshit. Honestly, it drives me nuts. If you want to go do drugs, but don't associate it with like spiritual awakening and changing your life, because I think it's bullshit. That's my story. I'm really serious about it. You know, I don't believe in it.
Have you had any experience with that? Ayahuasca, DMT?
No, I did so much acid as a kid, and I did not need it.
Uh-huh.
I was already a very unusual kid, spending time in my room, talking to spirits and doing all kinds of weird things. So I really am not the type of person that needs drugs.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I didn't know that, obviously. So I experimented with a lot of things. I had a lot of scary moments happen, especially with LSD.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just not a big fan. And you know, I'm sure that there are places for people. There's even this new thing now. My ex-husband was telling me about kombu, where they put poison frog.
Oh yeah. I've seen.
He's like, you gotta
I've
do
seen
this.
some people do that.
I'm like, oh my
Stuff.
God. Like, it's like, he's like,
Yeah.
I threw up for like 5 hours and then I passed out and I woke up like totally new. I'm like, oh my God.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting from a developmental standpoint, because I never experimented with psychedelics when I was younger. You know, I kind of bought into the society's version of, you know, it'll make you crazy and this and that, and
That's
and
good. Tell me
have
what
you.
your parents told you so I could tell my son.
Nothing at
Really?
all. It was purely me. Yeah,
Really?
it was just my fear. Actually, it was just fear. Like, oh, I'd be the guy that would jump off the roof and all that kind of shit that you hear.
Well, I think it's a good thing to be wary of anything you put in your body. You know, like,
Yeah.
especially a mind-altering drug, because that stuff you need to be careful. You don't want to go too deep.
And you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people, even these shamans and stuff that are doing these rituals with the ayahuasca and all this kind of stuff, you know,
Yeah.
originally the shaman would do the ayahuasca and heal the person. And then, you know, we westernized it and now we're actually doing it.
Yeah.
You know, everything is kind of changing. And I feel like behind a lot of it is just a reason to get high. People are just want to get high, and instead of going to yoga,
I don't know if I completely agree with that. I would say that you could probably have a spiritual awakening whether you're doing drugs or not. You could have something happen, you know, you could be looking for something or searching for something, you know, whether it's, you know, that specific act is actually getting high, that person might be looking for something different in their life. They might be looking for value in places they
So it'll
haven't.
create a shift or something.
Yeah.
Well, they might be just, you know, on a trip to try to be a better person, or try to find. We're all searching for something, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think to label it as just as well, that's just getting high is like a little
Yeah.
short-sighted to say that not
You're right.
everybody is, you know.
Well, and from the spiritual component that you brought up, I completely understand what you're getting at in terms of it should come naturally and through meditation and all these kinds of things. In my personal experience, I had never done psychedelics before, and then DMT was the first thing that I ever tried, and it just completely changed my life. But it was
Wow.
done with intention. It was done, you know, there were all kinds of synchronicities that I felt brought me to it. I didn't go out searching for it and be like, hey, bud, you got any DMT? Da, 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 da.
And you were in the right frame of mind when you did it.
Well, I was
think
in
that's
I was
big-
in a very bad frame of mind, but I was open to change, and I had clear intention about what I was doing there and why I was taking that step. But ultimately, the point that I want to make is that it showed me the finish line. This is what you're trying to accomplish in all the meditation that you're doing.
That's
Yeah,
an
you know-
interesting way of looking at it.
You know, it's
and I've only done it once. I don't
Yeah.
go back every week and be like, oh,
Right.
maybe I should. I do my work and I go to mindfulness training and do all these
My
things.
only fear is like when I hear people, most of the people, and I think this is where my bluntness comes from. When I hear people associate drugs with spirituality, it makes me nervous because I feel like they want a quick high. And I think that's what I meant. Like they want quick results. And what happens sometimes is you actually go lower afterwards. So you have this moment of enlightenment and shift. But then without the work backing up. Now, if you do it and you back it up with the work and the intention and everything, then I think there's a possibility for great change if that's what you need in your life. But what makes me nervous is when people don't have that and then they actually go lower and they're even more depressed.
Sure. I think it's a self-reflection of what's going on in your life. You could be a healthy person mentally, physically, whatever, or you could be very unhealthy and chasing a high or chasing drugs, and it's going to be a self-reflection of whatever happens during that time. It's usually an internal reflection
Yeah,
upon
100%.
yourself.
Yeah.
But going back to, you know, the yoga practice specifically, I felt many times during yoga, and I've been practicing yoga for like 10, 12 years, that I have felt a similar high and a similar self-reflection, especially when I'm doing a lot of yoga. When I'm doing 3-4 times a week, I will feel a natural high, similar to like being on mushrooms or a psychedelic. But it's completely natural. It's completely, a self-reflection of what's going on within me. If I need to deal with an issue might come up, and I'll see it from a different perspective, which is fascinating. Never would have thought yoga 12 years ago would have ever brought those things to light.
Yeah. Yoga's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty
It
powerful.
saved my life.
Well, and some have known that for thousands of years, right? And then we just forgot, or Western society said, no, we're going to make some pharmaceutical money instead and bury those things. Or
Yeah.
So how does that work now? So you're not on any pharmaceutical drugs,
No.
and you still speak to your old doctor? Not even probably.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's funny because I go see her every once in a while, and like, it's almost like a joke now because it's been almost a decade that they've known me, so they've kind of seen me evolve and grow, and they just know that I don't do certain things. But she also asked me, I love her, by the way. She's great because she has a Western practice, but she's always open. So what are you doing now, Jessie? Now I'm going to cryotherapy and I'm doing this red light thing. And I'm always like sharing cryotherapy. What are you talking, which by the way was invented for rheumatoid arthritis in Japan in 1978.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I've been doing that a lot lately. I'm still open to anything. I'm fascinated with health.
Sure.
And I think rheumatoid arthritis is my driving force, but I think I would be doing all of this stuff anyways. I think it's fascinating.
Have you used ice baths?
No, I never did the ice bath.
So what I find is cryotherapy is wildly popular now, right? But I've been using ice baths since I was in high school doing football,
How
playing
cool.
football in high
Yeah.
school. And I find that the ice bath, I find it's much harder, right, to get in a bath full of ice for 5 minutes than to stand in cryotherapy with, your oven mitts on. And, little
No, I
socks and
totally
booties.
agree. Yeah.
So I feel it's people's, I'm not taking away from any of the benefits of it, because I'm sure it has benefits. But I find that is the easier out for people. It's just the easier fix. And that it's a huge fad now. So I'm intrigued by people that are cryotherapy, but people have been using ice baths or saunas and steam rooms, since the beginning of time, really, since.
I have a friend that I just went to his house, and he has an ice plunge. Ice plunge, yeah.
Whatever, ice bath.
And he's an advocate. I mean, he's like, oh, it's cryotherapy. I don't feel it. He's got to do the ice plunge. So there's definitely people that are still. For me, I have like a cold intolerance, and I think it's because of the RA. I'm always kind of have a mild fever, so I'm always a little colder. When I first started going to cryo, it was torture for me. I hate being cold. But it's interesting, after I've gone for a while now, I almost feel like it's balanced out my body temperature. I'm not as cold during the day, like just a normal life. And of course, it breaks down inflammation because it's so cold.
Sure.
But getting into an ice bath, that's intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the difference with water and air, right? So water's a better conductor for hot or cold. So you're going to get more penetration, if you will, through water, right? It's going to give you that deep bone cold.
Yeah.
Where then your organs is going to rush all this massive blood flow to heat your vital organs, right? So production of red blood cells, and you're just going to get more. Not to say that cryotherapy isn't great, because it's doing a similar.
Convenient. Because you don't have to get wet. It's like 2-3 minutes. And,
it's convenient.
It's super convenient. It's the fast food of.
It's the fast food of ice baths. Yes, it is.
I've never done it. What is it? Minus 200 degrees or something?
It's minus 240.
Right.
But it's not, I'll speak for myself. It's not that hard. Like, they put oven mitts on you, okay? And they put booties and like full boots on, and you're standing there, and you're like, and they, it's above your head.
This one I go to, though, actually, Scott, you might like this one. This doctor created it. So it's actually like a freezer.
Okay.
So you're fully encapsulated.
With your face?
With your face.
Really?
Yeah. This one's actually really cool. He's a doctor from Germany. The place I go to is Cryo Healthcare. And it's two brothers. The one brother's a doctor, and he actually made this machine. I think now they just started doing them at Equinox in New York. But it's like a freezer. So it's totally different than the one with the head out. It's a little bit more intense.
Interesting. Yeah, I probably knew the benefits early on as a kid because I was a surfer. And I grew up here in California, and we'd surf in cold water.
So healthy.
With a wetsuit, without a wetsuit, some days not, cold water. And so you're doing this on a daily basis, and just knowing how good you feel when you get out. You kind of feel like a newborn kid. There's something that's going on.
Well, I talk about this in my book. Surfers have the life. They're in the sun, so they're getting all the sun.
Yep.
They're in the sea, getting the sea salt. They're in the sand with their feet, no shoes.
Yep.
They're in the cold water. Like everything about surfing is like the epitome of like, if you've never met a grumpy surfer unless you're out in Malibu and there's like
unless you're in Malibu.
No, but you know what I mean? I mean, generally it's like, meeting a mad yogi.
Yeah.
Like you don't really meet mad yogis,
They live
the ocean is largely my psychologist, I guess, is more appropriate.
Wait, what did you say?
Couch session?
The ocean is largely my psychologist.
Oh, I love that.
You just go out and be with nature. You're earthing, grounding.
Yes.
You call it earthing, grounding, same thing.
It's very similar to like probably like a yoga practice. It's a really good scrub for your brain. Whatever's going on in your life, it's a great mental scrub because whatever's going on, you got to leave that shit at the door because eventually you're gonna physically work your way and mentally and through breath work your way through that stuff, or it's going to be like you're not even going to be thinking about it anymore. By the time you get back to the beach or out of the yoga session, you're like, what was I What was I so mad about? What was I thinking about?
Yeah.
Not even.
Forgot about it. Worked through it.
Reset button.
Yeah.
Definitely
So
awesome.
cool.
Yeah. So what now? What are you doing now?
So full time, my company, The Golden Secrets, which is the skincare and wellness line. I brought you some other goodies.
Oh, okay.
Hold it up to the camera. Hold it up to the camera.
Oh, okay.
What
this
is
is
this?
well, this is you'll have to open it, but this is the men's essential oil. It's actually named after my son, Kaleo, which means
Okay.
the voice of heaven.
Can we open it up?
Yeah,
and
no, you
smell
can
it
open.
and-
I got both of you guys one. That's yours. It's all organic, essential oils. And then this is for the studio. This is the aura clearing mist. It's 100% organic hydrosol. And the whole concept of it is
Pretty
to
packaging.
thank you. Is to shift your energy. There's something in yoga called Pratipaksha Bhavanam, and it's all about being able to shift your energy, cultivating the opposite thoughts. So every product in my company is really a tool to create rituals of self-love and mindfulness. So it comes with a card with affirmations. And this one is the aura clearing mist. Some of my friends call it the haterade. So
haterade?
literally you can spray it into the room.
Haterade.
You know, like sage, you know, when you
Let's spray this.
when
Give
you
us this
sage
thing out in here. Let's get some.
smudging, you know? So
Yeah.
it's saging minus the smoke. And you can also spray it on your face or in your car or use it for your house, or it's a natural hand sanitizer.
That's great.
Yeah, lots of
I've
goodies.
started using essential oils as what's it called? Not perfume. What do you call it? Cologne.
Yeah, that's basically
and
what
even
that
just in
is.
my hair. Like I'll just put a
What,
little
like
bit on.
like an argan, like Moroccan body oil stuff?
For me,
Yeah.
just
you
any
using?
kind of essential oil, you know, whatever the gimmicky thing is. If it's like, oh, this is, you know, well, gimmick, I shouldn't say that, but,
Gimmicky.
you know, whatever sense to open your root chakra.
Well, you
know,
can
just-
do Kaleo. It has sandalwood in it, which is like one of the most ancient ones. But everything is multi-purpose, so you can literally put it on your temples, or you can put it on like cologne. You can put it in your hair. You can put it on your face. You can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
You know.
I put oil on after the shower.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
I like it on my body after the shower, like mixed with a little water.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
it applies easier.
It does.
Yeah.
It spreads around.
To do it
all
after the
good
cold
places.
plunge.
After the cold plunge.
So what was
Cryo.
the process in getting these things developed and to market?
So like I said, so everything I've been using by myself and creating the original scent, my signature blend I've been wearing for 20 years. And a friend of mine who I really admire said, why don't you bottle that? Everybody was always commenting, you know, what are you wearing? I said, I make it, you know. And then somebody said, you should bottle it. And I thought, that's so stupid. I honestly thought that was stupidest idea.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. After I wrapped my head around it, I was like, I already had a blog. So I had people going to my blog. I had a lot of traffic. And I was doing all of this for free, obviously. I thought, well, I already have the traffic, so I might as well give them something that is sacred to me. This is something that I've been using for 20 years and I love, and I use it every day. And it creates moments of mindfulness and self-reflection throughout my day. I pull it out and I put it on, and kind of shifts my energy like I was talking about. So I shared it. I actually launched it on my birthday 2 years ago, and it just like took off. And organically, people wanted more. You know, well, what do you use for this? And what do you use for this? So now I think I have 8 or 9 products.
All oils.
All plant-based,
is
all
your-
essential oils,
Got it.
except for the lotus pollen.
What are you pulling it up right now?
This
Too?
is your website here?
That is my website. I think if you scroll
the
down,
goldensecretsoil.com? The goldensecrets.com?
yeah, it's just the goldensecrets.com, but my original handle was oil pops up. But yeah, there's some goodies. The Heal All oil, you would love that one, Scott. I should have bought that for you. It's good for after sun, and it's a nut. It's called the tamanu nut from the Polynesian islands. It's been used for healing and
So
beauty.
you have a company make them for you. They
I
use
make
this nut.
everything.
Oh, you make it all.
I hand make
You hand make these oils.
everything.
Really?
Everything is handmade, high vibrational. I have a little.
What's high vibrational? Sounds sexual.
My
What is that?
entire, I believe in prayer and energy, and when I'm, I make small batches, so everything is super fresh. And where I do this in my home, there's crystals everywhere, and
crystals.
sage
I
and
love
chimes,
crystals.
and I play, high vibrational music, and
high
I put a
vibrational music,
lot
got
of love into every single, thing thing. I think it's really important. That's obviously how it is now. It's not going to be like that forever because eventually I'll go into production.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be hand making millions of these oil bottles if it gets to that.
Yes, it will.
Do you write love and gratitude on your water bottles and your?
Yeah, you know what? I believe in that. I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't
They've
lately,
done studies.
but
They've done many studies.
Yeah, the
Have you
energy
seen those, Scott?
shifts. It's so cool.
When you're talking about just energy in general, I'm a huge believer.
Well, energy, but specific to water. If you write, I can't remember the guy's name, a Japanese guy. I think he passed away recently. But if you write, love, they took two bottles of water and they wrote hate on one and love on the other and put them under a microscope.
When was this? Where was this?
It's a documentary called like The Water. Isn't it? There's like a book.
The water we drink.
I haven't seen it.
I remember
we'll put
something
in
about
the link
prayer.
When we're done. But they would put the water underneath the microscope, and the crystals were completely different. The ones that were love and gratitude were beautiful and snowflake formations and things like that, and the other ones were just blobs of ugliness.
Yeah, it shifts.
We are all connected.
Yes.
Definitely.
100%.
Definitely.
Yes.
There's
So cool.
I don't know if there's similar studies, but you can look it up, Tim, while we're doing this. The only time I think when they have random numeric numbers like zeros and ones, when they have like there's massive supercomputers that like produce random numeric numbers, and the only time those computers shift or are off is when there's like a major event happening, like the Super Bowl or something where we're all watching it, or 9/11. Collectively, we're all thinking about this one thing, and that's when those supercomputers shift. And it's just like cool. The only time that happens, and so it's fascinating. Like we are all connected. So, and when you walk in a room and you feel bad energy or you feel, it's like, why
Get
does
that
this place
aura
suck?
clearing mist, spray them in the face.
More of that going on, right in my eyeball.
No, but you're right. I just read a study about they're doing these meditation like a massive meditation events where you basically can sign up online, and they just say at this time on Saturday everybody is going to go into meditation or go into prayer. And the power and what that does, it shifts everything, you know. It's amazing.
If we could just all do it.
Yeah.
Change the world.
We are one person at a time.
Slowly. That's what we're doing right here, right now, sitting around this table.
We're doing it. We're putting out positive vibes, right?
Always.
Positive vibes.
And if you're not a hippity-dippity person and none of this makes sense to you, then, it's just be a good person and treat other people the way you want to be treated and share your energy that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's really easy to go into that. It's so interesting. I started listening all these cool podcasts, and Dr. Wayne Dyer, even though he passed, I still listen to his podcast. I don't know if you guys ever listened to it.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, he's so amazing. I mean, he was one of the originals, him and Louise Hay, and just the power of the mind. And I constantly, it's like we all know all of this stuff, but it's so nice to have be reminded. And yesterday I was listening to one of his older podcasts, and he just talks about how like when we're in fear or doubt, then we're not flowing properly. And of course, like you said, like just treating people like we're all one and we're all from the same place and we're all divine, and just getting into that space, and how when you're in that space, everything flows abundantly. You call me to be on the podcast. Things like this happen synergistically that are supposed to happen, and, create more light into the world.
100%.
Definitely. Definitely. It's a shame because, the world we live in, it's all about, it can be very, very product driven, very me. We're not living the way that we used to live as a culture, right? Some people are, some places, but here specifically in Los Angeles,
it's really challenging here.
It's very challenging.
Yeah.
We live in a big city, right? And we're not part of a community, right? We don't have our respected roles that we're doing, whether someone gathers food, someone takes care of X, Y, and Z, water, this, that, and the other, and we all come together as a community. And I think, have you been to Burning Man?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
How many acids did you?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking.
Well, it's changed a lot. I think it's changed
Yeah.
a lot, and what the interesting thing is that's what they were trying to do in the beginning, right? Is that's what they were trying to do in essence, is to create a city where everyone is a community and has to come to the center.
No, it's very cool, and like the fact that nothing's left behind. I mean, it's like.
It's cool. I think it's obviously
like
it has changed. It's
It's
commercial.
played up. It's
I don't know about
commercialized,
commercialized, but maybe it's just But at the same time, it's like you can't. That's sort of the whole vibe there, right? You can't judge people for what they want to do, right? If they want to come there and play music and party, like that's part of their their vibe there too, right?
I mean, when I did it, I was in a tent, and there was like the craziest storms. It was very hippy dippy. We were not prepared at all.
You were not prepared. How? What age? What age were you?
No, this was I went on my honeymoon.
Oh,
when
okay.
I'm divorced now, but my ex-husband, we went from Bora Bora, and came home, and decided at the last minute we rented an RV and drove 8 hours to the desert.
To Burning Man.
Yep, totally unprepared.
But you survived.
But we survived. It was a cool experience. But after that, it's like, everybody that I know that has gone and done it right, in quotations, it's a $10,000 ticket, So I'm like, okay, I'd rather go to Bora Bora for 10 days. And,
Sure.
That's just my speed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's different, I think, now, but it is interesting what the initial concept was. It's going back to our roots in some way. It's very primal.
Yeah.
Very primal out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember what it was that I read, but there was something that was talking about the way that we are designed. I mean, we were talking about our bodies and food and things like that, but socially, it's like we work best in groups of like 30 people.
Right.
And it starts to get more than that, and then the competition comes, and this and that.
Well, they say you don't even like, your brain doesn't even have the space to remember like 500 names.
Oh my gosh.
Like it's like your brain isn't meant to categorize like that.
Right.
It's like, have you have 10,000 friends on Facebook or whatever? How are you supposed to
that's
know
what
everybody?
I mean.
How
We're
you
so
supposed to
overstimulated now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you go around, and sometimes I don't know if I know people in real life.
Oh, I have a terrible time, and I find people get upset sometimes with me because I'm a person in the public, and so I feel like maybe I've met them once, or I've met them through travels, and they might think that they know me better than they do,
right?
And so then maybe if I don't remember them, they become upset, and listen, I meet a lot of people. I'm traveling all the time, and I apologize if I don't remember you.
Scott, you better remember me next time I run into you.
Remember, you brought me oils. You brought me gifts to the podcast. We will remember you.
No, I'm the same way. It's so funny. My son, this has happened so many times where now it's like an inside joke. Somebody will come up to me, oh my God, how's it going? Da-da-da. Like a 5-minute conversation. And then we'll walk away, and my son's like, who is that? I go, I have no fucking idea. Right. He's like, Mom, you just talked to him for like 10 minutes. I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
He was a nice person, though. That was cool.
Like, I don't know. Like,
I try to just say, good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
What's up, pal?
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
I know.
And then sometimes they call me.
Those keywords.
You have no idea who I am, do you?
Yeah.
I go, yeah, no fucking clue.
It's the worst.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's funny.
Cool. Hey, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
so
it was
nice
great.
talking with like-minded spirits.
Absolutely. Always. Absolutely. Keep up the good work. I'm excited to see the positive Instagrams coming in.
Thank you.
Now that I'm following you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good, guys.
Cool.
Sounds
Anything
good.
you want to plug before we let you go?
Oh, just the golden secrets.
The golden secrets. All the
Love
secrets.
it. And your
They're not
book?
silver. They're not bronze. They're gold.
You can get my book on Amazon. It's on my website too, but it's on Amazon Prime, which Prime is the best.
Yeah, Prime is
Yeah,
best.
the best, life changing.
All right. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, guys.